Okay, Israel. No, I got it. I hope everybody's doing well, Israel. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Shout out Kawakab, teaching in Guatemala, LA, Judah. Shout out ISBHPK Houston, ISBHPK Rochester, New York, ISBHPK Norfolk, Virginia. I hope everybody's doing well today. Once again, just a reminder for those of y'all who signed up on the Evite, our second Sabbath will be going on next Sunday, the Sunday coming up, I should say, 12 o'clock till...
Second Passover.
What did I say?
Sabbath.
Salakia, second Passover. Salakia. We're going to have it this Sunday from 12 to 5. If you guys don't know the location, I don't have it on top of my head. Just meet at the school and we'll walk you across the street.
We doing?
What's that?
No, I was going to ask, are we doing like Feast of Unleavened Bread?
No, we're going to have the Feast of the Passover. That's it. We already went through the feast for the 7 days.
Okay,
so we're just going to sit back here and have the gathering and go from there. Okay? So that's going to happen this Sunday. Okay? Okay, I'm just pointing it out, man. Pointing the finger out. You got to make it happen now. So once again, that's going to happen coming up soon. And what else? What else are we missing? Anything else? Any announcements? Huh? Well, we'll go into that next week. I want to focus on one thing at a time in a week span. Okay, so today's class, guys. So today's class, the title of the class is "If My Husband Is Intemperate, Then What?" Now, I'm not going to push the button, but for those y'all know the inside joke. But the situation is this: the class that Shop Shawan taught on Wednesday was very on point, and it's our responsibilities as teachers and guides to sit back here and teach and educate the men, as well as teach and educate the women. You know, Wednesday's class was for the men, and it was to empower, strengthen the men, and teach accountability for the men, the brothers who are trying to grow and learn how to put their homes together, learn how to be good examples in their homes and in a camp setting. So that Wednesday class was really good, and it hit to the core of what some brothers go through in one form or another. But with that, a lot of times it's important for us to balance out the message and balance out the topic. Because if a person isn't looking at the scriptures or their husband or their significant other in the right way, you can take a class like that and you can take it the wrong way. Okay. And what will happen is a lot of negative thoughts. You can get the stuff from there. There's still more in there. A lot of negative thoughts and a lot of negative emotions can fester if they're not cleared out and the wife isn't taught how to look at their husband's particular issue. Okay? Because listen, Wednesday was about showing how men have to adjust what's inside of them and how their weaknesses and their intemperance affects a household and how it puts a strain on a family. And those things are definitely a fact. But with that being said, that person who is in the subordinate level, that wife, that sister, hell, even in situations with men in the camp, when you have higher ranking brothers and lower ranking brothers, if the lower ranking brother doesn't learn how to look at his ranking man's distemper, or that wife doesn't learn how to look at her husband when he's going through his issues, it's going to be a lot more problems and a lot more stress and a lot more sickness that comes from this entire process. So as much as the class of brother was teaching about how men had to be more accountable and they had to be better examples because they're weak examples, makes that weaker vessel's issues harder. We have to also understand that weaker vessel has responsibilities and obligations that she has to hold on and maintain even through her husband's ups and downs as he's learning how to be a good leader and a stable figure in his household. Does that make sense so far? Okay, so what we're going to do first, let's get the definition of intemperate.
Intemperate. Not temperate. Unrestrained.
No, in 1828?
Oh.
Give me 1828.
Intemperate. Not moderate or restrained with due limits.
So listen, That means your husband is not balanced all the time, has extremes in his nature, has fluctuations in his attitude and his personality, isn't always the most stable mentally. These are real things in in Israelite marriages all around the world. We can sit back here and paint this picture that Israel's all tough and rugged and tough and rugged and tough and rugged and rugged and tough. But when you get to the core of men have flaws, men have fallibilities as well. Okay? So if your husband has issues with his temperament, his inconsistencies, he's fallible. He might not be the same strong person every single day. Okay? Let's continue the definitions.
God, not moderate or restrained with due limits, indulging to excess any appetite or passion.
Sometimes your husband might not be that beacon of consistency, or he might fall short of your expectations in certain arenas. That is a real thing. Okay? We're all here trying to serve the Most High. We're all here trying to be better men and women. Okay? And in that pursuit, a lot of times we're going to fall short in front of brothers. We're going to fall short in front of our family. And the question is, like Sham Shawan really eloquently painted out, these issues are real. And he was going specific with different issues and different instances that put a strain on the fabric of the household. But we also have to teach sisters and people how to cope and deal with the instability and the inconsistency in the household because of a man's immoderate nature or immoderate issues or inconsistencies in his personality, in his attitude. Read on.
Either habitually or in particular instance.
Okay.
Immoderate in enjoyment or exertion.
Okay, and it's just going to show you that he's going to go into different arenas where men are immoderate in, inconsistent in, emotionally. Read on.
A man may be intemperate in passion, intemperate in labor.
He might work too hard. He might not work enough. I've seen somebody sit back here, and a guy goes to the house, and he just, for some reason, he just does not help enough around the house for their wife. And the wife goes crazy because he's not the super cleaner that she expects him to be. That's a real thing. Or this brother is the over cleaner.
Yeah.
He's the terminator of the cleaners, Zach. He's saying you ain't cleaning enough.
Yeah.
Let me sit back here. You ain't using enough bleach. Where's that Zote? You ain't using enough Zote. Ain't no Mr. Clean done used on the floor.
Yeah, you gonna re-clean what you already did?
You gotta double clean this. We're gonna do a dust test with the white gloves. There's some intemperance there. There's intemperance with the white glove guy, and there's the intemperance guy that's just watching TV while Rip's doing all the cleaning in the house. Yeah. There's some intemperance there too. So this is what we're dealing with. These are real things that sisters have to deal with, whether it's in labor, whether it's in his passions. His focus and passion at the time might not be what the house needs. Okay? He might zig when he's supposed to zag. He might zag when he's supposed to zig. I'm getting general, okay? And I'm trying to sit back and paint a picture that husbands are fallible too. And how does that wife supposed to handle his infallibilities, his emotional swings, his mood changes? Some days he's up, some days he's not. Some days he's snapping, he's overcritical. Some days he's not. Some days he's not paying any attention to anything. These are the elevated, or the, not only said elevated, these are the issues that constantly challenge any household, any marriage. Okay? And it's up to us also, once that wife sees these things, how is she supposed to carry herself? How is she supposed to be? Because I tell you, listen to Chef Juwan's class, it's like, do I got to follow any of these intemperate SOBs? These guys are some bad guys.
Bad dude.
These guys don't love Christ. Then why did I marry this guy? Why am I in marriage hell with this husband that's full of flaws? That's another question that'll pop in a person who's not looking at things the right way. Okay? So, let's go. Let's continue with the intemperate.
Intemperate in study or zeal.
And listen, there's a lot of brothers that come to the house. They can Kwame Ashala all to school. When they get to the house, they are very intemperate in studying. They don't read near Bible. It's going to be all flesh in the carnal while I'm sleeping. It's going to be food, having physical, and sleeping. That's intemperance. Get what I'm saying? So these are issues at the house too. So intemperate, it says, read that last one, intemperate in study.
Intemperate in study or zeal.
And then there's certain people that are overboard in their zeal in the house. You got to counsel 3 or 4 hours about a topic that should take 15 minutes. Now kids is losing bedtime. They're yawning. They're falling asleep. These brothers got their kids in a Mom Shabbat for 2.5 hours. What the hell are you doing? That's a real thing. I listen. There is intemperance on that level, and then it's like, something Gabar hit a kid. I'll deal with it tomorrow. There's intemperance there too. I'm just neglecting problems. I'm just pushing aside problems for days and days and weeks. Kids is getting F's and D minuses, and you're just sitting back here like you gotta be better, son.
Try harder.
Try harder. What's on TV right now? You gonna cut that steak? You gonna eat your own meal, Junior? You gotta fix it, Junior. You deal with it, woman. And you sitting back here just being a beast at the house, huh? Because Junior's problems getting in the way of military. So these are real things, huh? These are real damn things. So there is a distemperament in these situations, huh? So it said, intemperate in study or zeal. Read on.
Car. Intemperate in study or zeal. Hence, by customary application.
Okay, listen. Some households, some brothers do things way out of the ordinary. Some men are overly critical with their homes, overly critical with their children, overboard with the expectations. Others are too laissez-faire with their expectations. These are all issues that sisters have to deal with, that they can easily say, this is why I have a problem and I got beef at home, and this is why I have a negative outlook towards my husband. Right? Continue.
Intemperate denotes indulging to excess in the use of food or drink.
That intemperament is extremes on either polarity. I'm too much into my drinking. I'm too much into my patterns. My patterns are too extreme, and they're having an effect on my home. Whether it's a weak vibe you're pushing off, or it's that line in the household type scenario. Both of those extremes are detrimental to the house, and it has an effect on the woman. And like Shamshawan was talking about in that class, and how that intemperate or that distemperate person creates what? That masculine woman, that negative person to cope with the issues. But we're going to sit back here and go into the scriptures to say, what does a woman have to do in a response to her husband's inconsistencies and his intemperate mindset? How is she supposed to be as he's figuring it out? Class on Wednesday should show you guys that we as teachers are still trying to work on these brothers' spirits. We're trying to work on the inconsistencies in the mind, the extremes in the personalities. We're here to work on that also. So while we're working on that, and you're having to deal with the fallout, deal with the repercussions, how are you supposed to carry yourself while you're dealing with the extremes of being a good Israelite wife when you see that your husband isn't being the best husband that he can be? Now the first thing is, we obviously know the scripture says, judge not lest ye be judged. Okay. So we obviously know that one, where hey, the sister has a lot of things to work on. So before you want to judge what a person is doing, focus on the numerous things you have to work on yourself if you want the Most High to honor you. We get that. But with that, the first verse I want to go to is Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 1 through 7. Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 12, verse 1 through 7 can give us an idea of the mindset that a sister should have. Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 verse 1 through 7. Because the crazy thing is this: if a brother or a sister is going to be honest with themselves, we can see flaw in any and every person that we work with.
Because none of us are Christ.
None of us are Christ. So it's very easy to see fallibilities in brothers that are over you in the camp. A wife can sit back here and see the flaws in you in the house every day. It's wide open to see. There's no escaping it. I like going into this verse, or this set of verse first, because this sets the tone on why the wife should continue to stay in order and serve, and why the man that's under the man over him that has flaws, why he should stay in order with his captains and with his officers and with the men over him. This is the concept that binds all of us in this knowledge together. Read that verse.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 verse 1. When thou wilt do good, know to whom thou doest.
If for that wife, if you're sitting back here and you're enduring your husband's up and down nature, his intemperate nature, aspects of him that might be a little bipolar, might be a little extreme, might be a little unorthodox. First of all, know why you're in order with them. Know why you're striving to do the right thing. Okay? Read on.
So shalt thou be thanked for thy benefit.
Listen, you're not going to always get thanked by your husband for you being in order. But the Most High is going to thank you for your benefits, because you're doing it for the right reason. That's the first thing. Why am I in order with my husband? Why do I keep a positive outlook in my situation, even though my husband's decisions make my life harder in the household? Because ultimately that's the issue. This is what stresses sisters out. My husband's distemper, my husband's intemperament makes my life harder at the house, makes my ability to raise these kids, keep this system in the house, operate smoothly. And all that added stress makes things harder, because the house is already, life is already stressful. Life is stressful. Work is stressful. Then I come home and whatever my husband's doing or not doing is making things, it seems to be more stressful. The first thing a sister has to reset and recalibrate her mind into thinking and understanding is, you know what? Why am I sitting back here and enduring these ups and downs with this person? Why am I enduring this? Why am I going through this? It's going to explain as we continue. Read on.
Verse 2. Do good to the godly man, and thou shalt find a recompense.
The Most High will give you a recompense because you are enduring and going through the ups and downs for a man that's trying to serve the Most High. That's the number. The Most High talks about the simplicity that's in Christ. Sometimes our life is very hard and we make it way more harder than it is. But the ultimate galvanizing factor is the fact that this husband is trying. This husband is coming to class. This husband is trying to serve, trying to fix their mind, trying to work on what's inside of them, and that's why you endure it. And the recompense comes from the Most High. The recompense comes from the fact that you're trying to stay in order with a godly man. The Most High knows what you're going through, and He's going to recompense your obedience and your servitude despite the inconsistencies that you see with your loved one. Yes.
So are you saying that even if my husband is not godly yet, but is in the process of being godly, I have to see his attempts and accept, he's not there yet, but because he's trying, I have to give him my all?
My answer is this. Before we go heavy into this class, I went to this verse first because these type of classes are supposed to be for people who are trying to change, who are in class, who are working on their spirit, who are trying to commit themselves to serving the Most High. I wouldn't be advising this type of class to somebody that's out here in these streets doing negative, intentionally not trying to change. It's a whole different set of counsel and mental approach for a sister in a household where the husband is not trying to serve the Most High at all.
Because they're a law unto their own.
And that's the thing. They have separated themselves from this type of interaction. And this book or this chapter in Ecclesiastes 12 clearly states this. Because your husband is trying, he's making efforts, he's making attempts to work on his spirit, is why the Most High is going to recompense your humility. Why the Most High is going to recompense her fights to be in order. Because he's trying. This two-way situation isn't going to work if the husband isn't trying to come to class and work on his spirit, and their wife doesn't take this mental position while he's trying to work on the things inside of him. Okay? Now let's continue.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 2 from the top. Do good to the godly man, and thou shalt find a recompense, and if not from him, yet from the Most High.
A lot of times you're not going to get the thank yous, you're not going to get the gifts, you're not going to get the attaboys or attagirls or the pats on the back from the person that you might want to get it from, for all of your sacrifice, for all of your dedication, for all of your patience. But the Most High is going to give you the recompense for staying in order with your husband, even though you might see flaws and inconsistencies and weakness. Okay? So this is the mindset a sister has to take when she sees that distemper in her husband. Those inconsistencies and those irrational spikes and those highs and those lows. Because all of us as men want to always be those strong, good examples. At least we should be. But a lot of times it doesn't work out that way. And when it doesn't work, when it doesn't work out that way, that can't be your excuse to be out of order. That can't be your excuse to be negative. Because that's so many of our people's issues. If I see a flaw in you, then I don't have to be in order. If I see fallibility in you, then that's my get out of jail free card with this Israelite wife humility thing. And that's not how the Most High operates. Okay? So we're going to go into, this class is going to go into this in more detail. So just let's continue to work on. To answer your question, it says, it's not just about you praying for your husband, it's about you staying in order with your husband. Because when a person says, I'm going to just pray for him, that's me saying, oh, this guy's wicked as hell. I'm going to pray to Jesus, and he works on his wickedness. Lord, well, I sit back here and be holy, because he's wicked, and I'm holy. That's a whole wrong way to look at it. Because if I'm going to pray for you, I still got to serve you. How about that? How about them apples? So I don't want to hear the praying for people, because that's a person saying, me saying I'm going to pray for you is me saying I'm going to love you from a distance.
Man.
Yeah.
That's the same damn thing. Yeah. Or I'm going to sit back and keep my distance and wait till you figure it out. Then, when you figure it out, then I might, come back around, test the waters out. That's the spirit of a person that says that I'm going to pray for you. No, if I'm going to be in order with the Most High and earn that recompense from Him, I still got to do good to the person who's having the issues and still serve that man who has the flaws. How about that? That doesn't feel good, but you know what that is? That's also called the good news. That's good news. It might not be good news to you, but it's good news to how Christ wants us to operate. Let's continue.
Verse 3.
Because men are subject to those same things. You don't think we see weakness in the men over us? And we still got to be in order? You don't think that happens to us? And it's happened to us for years. Years. But let's continue.
Verse 3. There can no good come to him that is always occupied in evil, nor to him that giveth no alms.
This is why a person that's always occupied in evil, you don't give your whole spirit to him. This is about working and serving and trying to fix what's in you and be patient for the person who's trying to change. You see these highs and lows. you see these ebbs and flows in their battle. Because when a person is really trying to battle, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see some really good days, some really zealous days, and you're going to see some bad days. Then you're going to get some days in the middle. And then you're going to get a lot more bad days. Then a couple good spikes. That's the dynamic. And in the midst of that dynamic, if you're about pleasing the Heavenly Father and earning that recompense from Him, you have a responsibility to stay in order and maintain your respect. Read on.
Verse 4. Give to the godly man and help not a sinner.
So once again, we're supposed to be giving, submitting, and serving the godly man and not the sinner. But didn't the Most High say a just man will fall 7 times?
Yeah.
But what makes him just? He comes back up again and fights again. Exactly. Those are the individuals that you're supposed to sit back here and serve and fight to be in order for.
If I can add a scripture real quick.
What is it?
Hebrews 11 and 25.
Just kind of say it. What is it?
Choosing rather to suffer affliction. Choosing rather to suffer affliction. People of God than pleasure of sin for a season.
Pull it real quick, but be quick. Be quick with it. Be quick with it. Yeah, that's a good one. Pull it.
It was just right on point what you were saying. You know, choosing who to lock into.
What verse is this? Hebrews?
Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 25.
Hebrews 11:25. Let's read that.
When you're fit with a choice of who to lock into, when you see deficiencies in somebody, you have to remember who you're fighting for and why you're fighting for them. And this is what he was going into in Ecclesiastes 12. Read that real quick.
Hebrews chapter 11 verse 25 reads, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of the Most High.
So a righteous man or woman would rather choose to suffer affliction. It may not be positive all the time.
Hell no, it's not a positive.
It's definitely not
That's
positive all the time.
You're choosing affliction. You know, when you hear the people of God, that it sounds like these guys are holy and righteous.
Man,
the children of God are a bunch of mess ups too.
And you read that in the Sabbath class. There's a lot of message going on with children.
That's why I said the children of God are flawed. And choosing affliction, I'm choosing affliction by choosing the children of God, these flawed people that are inconsistent.
Come.
And your husband is one of these children of God who is flawed and inconsistent,
and
which means you're choosing affliction.
Exactly.
I'm just going to add this statement. Listen, when the Most High talks about in Luke, I'm not going to pull it, but it talks about the people that are, when you're choosing people to come to the wedding.
Yeah.
Who are you supposed to choose and invite to the wedding? Are you supposed to be choosing princes and the rich men and these guys that are all polished and put together? Christ said choose the lame and the sick and the individuals that can't do anything for themselves. So if we're supposed to invite those individuals to the wedding, that means we're choosing people that can't bring any benefit to you at all. It's just more burden. It's more work. The easy thing is to pick the guy that can augment the business, that can augment my finances. You ever hear these Jake quotes about you don't want to be the smartest person in the room?
Exactly.
You want to be around all these people that can augment your where you want to be, and get these dumb quotes on Facebook and Instagram. But that's not the Bible. No. The Bible is you want to be around the sick.
Yeah.
And be around people that you got to keep building and carrying on your back. You know, and that is a life of affliction.
You know, because 1 Corinthians says he chooses the foolish things in the world to confound the wise.
The foolish things is all these sick people. You know, the foolish things in the world is I'm gonna stick with my husband, even though it doesn't always benefit me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with my husband, even though I can always choose easier paths. This is no different than serving the Most High. You can sit back here and choose a comfortable path that makes your life easy, or you can sit back and choose a path that benefits the sick. This is what serving the Most High is about. Choosing the path of affliction that benefits the children of God who are, oh, by the way, they're sick as hell, and they need you to be strong to work on their issues, to help augment and sustain their issues.
First is choosing the person that fulfills your lust.
Yes.
That fulfills what you want out of life. a lot of people, and we're talking about the wives, but you know, a lot of people grow up with dreams of who their perfect man is. You know, who the ideal marriage man is.
Yeah.
And you get to the truth, and you get a husband, like, you're not the one I envisioned. You want that guy. But you're in there already. So how can I maximize the relationship so I can still stay right with the Father?
Well, how is that? But we're going to go into it. How about the Most High put y'all two together?
Huh?
How about
and you were match made in heaven.
You were the match. You were the spiritual match made in heaven. But the spiritual match made in heaven isn't the carnal match made in heaven.
That's funny. God.
And these are the realities also. And can I accept the Most High put me together with the right spiritual counterpart for my spirit? That's going to bring out what I need to keep building my spirit up, and it's going to bring out from that sister what she needs to build her spirit up. And that's what we're going to go into in Matthew after this chapter. But before we go on to the dynamic of understanding why the Most High connects you, you got to go into this situation realizing that the reason I tolerate all this is because my husband is trying to serve the Most High in the first place. Okay. You're supposed to give to the godly man. That's why I'm going through this affliction. Read that verse in Hebrews again.
Hebrews chapter 11 verse 25 reads, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of the Most High than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season.
That is a concept that we as brothers are supposed to hold on to, and wives are supposed to hold on to. Okay. This is the overall mindset that the nation is supposed to sustain if we're going to stay connected with the Heavenly Father. So despite and how important it was, like on Wednesday, for sure, we want to point out these issues that men have that make the house that much harder to sustain. Even though everything he said is true, if a sister's going to be right with the Most High, she has to figure out ways to hang in there mentally and spiritually, because the Most High's got her in that situation for a reason. And we're going to start painting a picture of that for her to understand. Okay, let's continue. But once again, as you guys, even the men are listening to this class, you can take this class also, replace the she with you. When you're looking at the dynamic between a ranking man and a man under the ranking man, it's the same concept. Yeah. About staying in order, and what does it take to be in order with the Most High? Mm-hmm. What type of mindset do you have to keep giving people the benefit of the doubt? To keep giving people, keep looking at the person that's over you with the right lens, with the right mind frame. Okay, let's continue. We finished with that. Go back to Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha 12 and verse 5.
Do well unto him that is lowly.
But it's still the godly man. Yeah. Well, the person that's lowly is, you're supposed to do well to the man that's your husband, but he might have fallen. He might not be on top of his game right now. He might not be strong right now. That's the lowly part. He's been brought low. You're still supposed to do right by the man who has been brought low, whether it's age, whether it's circumstances, whether he's got sick. You still have a responsibility to do well to that person who has fallen, who has taken a step back, either way. Okay, read on.
But give not to the ungodly.
Exactly. I'm supposed to sit back here and deal with the lowly, not the ungodly. Read on.
Hold back thy bread, and give it not unto him, lest he overmaster thee.
No, he said, read that part again.
Lest he overmaster.
No, read it on top again.
Come on. Ecclesiastes 11 and 5. Do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly.
So, give to the person who is trying to serve the Most High, but might not be in his strength at the time. Read on.
Hold back thy bread, and give it not unto him.
But he says, but don't give to the ungodly. Because with that ungodly, hold back thy bread. Hold back your strength. That ungodly person, the Most High is saying, don't give your strength to that ungodly person. Why? Read on.
Lest he overmaster thee.
Because this is the situation. We're talking about servitude. We're talking about humility. We're talking about a sister giving the best of her spirit to her husband. That should be relegated to a man that's trying to fight. I would be in the wrong spirit if I tell a sister to give the best of her spirit to a guy that ain't trying to change, that ain't trying to serve the Most High, that's not trying to commit herself to a righteous life. That's me pushing somebody astray and not sticking to the scriptures. But they're saying you don't even want to teach somebody to serve somebody that's out of pocket and negative and not trying to serve, because they'll use the goodness in you to their advantage. And they'll take advantage of you. They'll overmaster you. They'll overmaster your servitude if they're not trying to change. If they're not trying to submit themselves and fix what's inside of them, all they're going to do is manipulate all of your good efforts. That makes sense? That's why you're not supposed to give to the ungodly. They'll take advantage of it. Read on.
For else thou shalt receive twice as much evil for all the good thou shalt have done.
And I've seen a lot of sisters trying to sit back and help negative people, and they get in worse and worse and worse situations where these men trying to get them to steal shit, do fraudulent bank stuff, IRS hustles. I've seen men do that. Huh?
Yeah.
And then if they keep following, listen, they'll be in jail. And that dude will be looking for the next woman he can manipulate. Bring her to class once or twice, and then sit back here and not be around and do his thing. So this is why I want to set the tone in this chapter before we go into the lengths of teaching about a wife being in order with her husband. And despite his infallibilities, despite his weaknesses and inconsistencies, there is a difference between an Israelite man that's trying to change, that's coming to class, that's sincerely trying to work on what's inside of him, and a person that's not trying to change at all in the world, not coming to class, not even thinking about changing what's inside of him. There are differences. Okay? So if we're going to teach a sister to be in order, she still has to know who to be in order with and who to take a step back from. Let's continue.
Verse 6. For the Most High hateth sinners, and will repay vengeance unto the ungodly, and keepeth them against the mighty day of the punishment.
And a lot of times when you're sitting back here and you're trying to assist a negative person, what you're doing is you're making it harder for the Most High to cleanly cut them off. So this is what ends up happening is you get in the way of the Most High cutting them and tearing them down. That's why they make their situation twice as much evil going on in their life. Because you're trying to help a negative person, thinking you can save this negative person. You're really getting in the way of this person's judgment. But continue.
Give unto the good, and help not the sinner.
We're here, sisters are here, brothers are here to work on what's inside of us. And the people that the Most High is using to work on us should be in the same body of Christ that we're in. That makes the playing field fair. That makes the conditions fair. So before we go any further in this, I hope y'all really understand what I'm, like, oh, Jake, are you picking up what I'm putting down, man? That's the old 70s stuff. What's that?
I haven't heard that one in a long time.
Yeah, that's what I said. You're picking up what you're putting down, you dig?
Well, we get that.
I don't know what just popped in my head, That was some old Shaft stuff,
I almost want to say
We go like this. What's that? So you're right. That's what I'm saying, Anyway, I don't know why I said that crap. That's beyond my time, I ain't that old. Let's go to Matthew chapter 19, verse 4 through 8. I think the fro got me. The natural got me. That's what it was, I saw that natural. It took me back, That's what they used to call froze, the naturals, Anyway, Matthew chapter 19, verse 4 through 8.
Matthew chapter 19, verse 4.
Now, once we got all that stuff out the way about giving to the godly man, and if you're going to sit back and serve and be obedient, let it be to the person that's trying to change in a spiritual structure or a school or a camp or whatever you want to call it. Now we understand that. Now we can sit back and connect with what Christ is saying in Matthew 19. Read that.
Matthew chapter 19, verse 4. And he answered and said unto them, Have ye not read that he
which made them at the beginning, made them male and female, and said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh.
So the purpose of putting this husband and wife together was for them to be together, was for them to be one flesh, was for them to be of one mind. But even when we're explaining for them to be of one mind, they're a team. And when you're dealing with a team, you're dealing with everybody has to play a role and a part in a team for this team to operate successfully the right way. And there's going to be certain things that this husband's going to be strong and dynamic in, and there's going to be certain things that that wife is going to be dynamic in. And they're a team when both parties can bring something to the table that augments or stabilizes the other person. So this is what it means by the man and female become one flesh. Their talents, their strengths, their abilities become one. Okay? Continue.
Matthew chapter 19, verse 6. It says, wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore the Most High hath put together.
And this is what people don't understand. The Most High chose those two people with the intention of creating a synergy that can become one. There were strengths and abilities that this one person, this husband, was going to be able to have to help develop and augment this sister. And there were certain supporting roles and certain, I can't even always just say supporting roles. There are certain talents that that woman was given that would help augment what that husband is bringing to the table also. And this verse clearly explains the Most High brought those two parties together, especially if he's bringing them together with both parties trying to serve the Most High. A lot of times it's hard to sit back and paint this picture if both parties aren't trying to serve the Most High. If both parties aren't trying to live the right way, then this dynamic doesn't always work.
You know, the scripture says a wicked balance is an abomination to the Lord.
Okay.
So if you have one that's striving for righteousness and the other pulling in the complete opposite direction, they're not walking the same path. And that's what Amos 3 and 3 was talking about.
How can two walk together unless they be agreed?
Which brings up to this point. Should a woman break from her parents? Or she's not supposed to?
Yeah. That's what it's read. Read verse 5 again.
For a man. I thought that was for...
No.
Read it again. Read it again.
Matthew chapter 19, verse 5. And said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife.
So if that father is leaving his house, what's that woman going to be doing? Don't forget, there's a verse in Ecclesiastes that talks about when a father gives away his daughter, it's a weighty matter. That means that father is giving. That father is no longer the person responsible for her body and her spirit. That responsibility is now another man. And that's why it's such a weighty matter. Listen, we're not talking like it's some damn cult thing. And that woman leaves and goes to these crazy black guys on 44 walls and is never seen again. I'm talking about crazy things like that. And that's what people might think. But what it is now I have an entirely new household to live in. I have responsibilities. I have a family to consider. So no, I'm not going to be going to like family hangout night on Saturdays every day, Papa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to be with my family doing my thing. And I'll come to the house whenever I can. But dad and mom aren't a priority anymore. Now the part. Listen. Even when you have a daughter in the household, as she gets older, there's certain things she's bringing to the table to help the house run smoothly. She might sit back and watch her younger sisters. She might cook a certain couple of days of the week. She might sit back and be responsible for certain operations of the house. Guess what? That ain't gonna happen anymore. Now all her abilities has to go to the functioning of her household. That's what that means. Got it? Okay. I don't mean she don't love her daddy no more, man.
No.
She gonna still love her dad.
I've gotten in situations where I had to fight the other family trying to be all up in my business with, so that's all.
That's some worldly drama there. That's not the spirit of Christ. That's some world stuff. Where you got to box in-laws and stuff, man. Come on, man.
Get the boxing gloves. I get mine.
Dang, bro. God, but anyway, we get the point so far, right?
Yeah.
But read verse 6 again.
Matthew chapter 19, verse 6. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh.
He says, listen, the goal is to have these two people that are seeking to serve the Most High now become one flesh. But read on.
It says, what therefore the Most High hath joined together, let no man put asunder.
The Most High joined these two parties together, and this is what a sister has to understand, and this is what a brother has to understand. So when times are getting hard, and you see your husband in a lowly position or weak position, the Most High has still got you guys together. He still brought you guys asunder. He said, he brought you guys together, and he says, let no man bring you apart. The man that brings you apart is you. You're the person that sits back here. You're the first person that tries to separate the union. Yeah. So don't let your pride, don't let your lack of patience, don't let your lack of being in the book separate the union. But the sad thing is a lot of our women don't want to be in the book. And you know how society is set up nowadays. Women are independent. So what's the incentive to stay in order with your husband? I mean, women I've seen at malls and stores and business, and they're just cool, going into their golden age years, 50, whatever. They don't need no man. It's cool. I got my money. I got my retirement kicking in. Yep. I don't need nothing. I got TV. I got instruments at the house. I don't need no man. I'm trying to be PC. But this is the whole thing. What's the need of a husband? Yeah. That's a real thing. That's a real thing all around here. So I'm just going to sit back and be alone just because I have the power to do so? Now the scripture does say in the end times, 7 women are going to be holding to one man. Lord, that comfort sheet is going to be out the door when there's only a handful of rice left in the damn pantry. Then what? You got these crazy ass marauder niggas banging on doors, wanting in, and not just the building.
It's not a good.
This is some bad guys, huh? Then what? Then you gonna make this marriage thing work out. Yeah. Then it's gonna be okay. Let's work. Let's make this happen. Yeah. We're gonna be one big happy family. There's gonna be some ordered people at that time.
Real righteous side.
But what am I trying to paint? What's the picture I'm trying to paint? The Most High brought husband and wife together. The funny thing is, we think that is just the power of our wisdom and choices that made these things happen. And if I, by my power and my wisdom and my game, brought this together, then my power, I can pull myself out of it. That's not how the Most High looks at these unions. The Most High looks at these unions as the Most High brought husband and wife together. So don't sit back here and take it upon your own hands to split it and break it. This is the Most High put together. But keep going.
Matthew chapter 19 and verse 7. They say unto him, why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement?
And that's what these Pharisees were saying. Then why did Moses sit back and say you can put away your woman? First of all, who did Moses say can put away who?
The man can put away the woman.
Listen, Moses said a man can sit back here and pull out of a situation. But even in that, Christ is going to give understanding as to why he gave man that option. Read on.
It says, and to put her away, he saith unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning, it was not so.
So Moses, listen, it was never even intended for the husband to sit back here and do away with his wife. So if it was never intended for Moses to do that, then how much more was it not intended for a woman to sit back here and get out of order with her husband and leave him? Because of what she's tired of doing. Because of what she's fed up with going through. She doesn't have that right. This is what's happening. So once again, we're still dealing on the basis of this husband is in class trying to make changes with his spirit. We're not talking about these outside guys that are often doing their thing. Are we clear? Okay. But once again, the Most High, the reason we went to this chapter is to explain the Most High brought husband and wife together. And when times get hard, when your husband is down, when he's going through something, and his weakness is affecting the household, can you keep this in mind? The Most High brought us together. The Most High brought my husband to me, and me to him. If we can sit back here and hold on to that premise, that should at least begin the process of anchoring you as you're seeing the intemperate mind of your husband, his ups and downs, his highs and lows, his inconsistencies, when he's having a downtime, when he's in his flesh, when he's weak. Can you still sit back here and stay in order because you know the Most High brought you two together? That's the first thing a sister has to hold on to. That's what we have to hold on to when we're sitting back here dealing with issues with the men over us. Okay. We're going to let that verse go and go to Romans chapter 7, verse 2 through 3. And in case that wasn't enough, this is another thing for a sister to be conscious of to help ground her. This is about this. When you're running a lot of emotion and inconsistencies and fear and loathing and all these emotions kicking through, you need concepts and verses to anchor and stabilize the mind. So this is a good one to help stabilize. Romans chapter 7, verse 2 through 3.
Romans chapter 7, verse 2. For the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband, so long as he liveth.
So listen, the woman is bound to her husband as long as he liveth. So we're putting those shit in men's food and soups and shit, all right?
Yeah. That's lifetime.
Some lifetime shit. So some ID show, man, some ID TV act. You'll hear a lot of bad situations like that act. The black widows running around here act, just killing husbands left and right act. That's a joke, but you get the point. Read verse 2 again.
It's called Deadly Wives.
Yeah, it's Deadly Wives. It's like spider women. You know, they call them like black widows. Like they be offing their husbands with these mysterious like drugs and these mysterious, what do you call it? Cocktails of like medicines that you can get all over the counter at. And the husband's chilling and he's eating soup out and he just falls out at. He's eating brazen of butter out and he's just dead out. And they can't tell how this guy like knocked out. And then after the third husband died, they kind of start finding a pattern. And they exhume the other two husbands' bodies. And then they find out what's happening and she goes to jail. But she's already 60, so she's got like three separate husbands, checks and their whole life savings out, so she's already okay. It don't even matter anymore.
It's very specific.
I've watched too much of these damn shows. That's IDTV, bros. IDTV is all in your face all damn day long, huh? Anyway, read Romans chapter 7.
Romans chapter 7, verse 2. For the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband, so long as he liveth.
Once again, this is another anchoring verse. Matthew 19 says the Most High brought you two together. Romans 7 and 2 says you're supposed to be with your husband literally from death to us part. Do us part. These are just reminders. Because you know what? When you see the weakness in your husband, when you see his ups and downs, that part of you wants to say, man, why am I going through this? Why don't I just get out of here? Why don't I just get away? Why do I got to take all this crap that I'm taking? Why do I got to go through all this hardness that my husband's putting me through? Because of this verse. Because of these multiple sets of verse. We're supposed to do good to the godly man. Matthew 19 tells the Most High brought y'all two together. Romans 7 and 2 tells you you're supposed to be bound to your husband as long as he lives. Read on.
But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law to her of her husband. Verse 3.
I can't. Keep reading. No, you read on.
God. So then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she be called an adulteress.
Because the Most High is not about giving anybody outs to run from their battles. What we're going to read later on in class is that the Most High has got that husband connected to you because he brings certain things out of you that have to be revealed so you can work on them. That's why the two are supposed to come together. And they're not supposed to be brought apart. Because there was something about what you did and your actions and your MO that was going to put this woman in a position where she had to be humble, follow, lock in, be obedient. There was something that you brought to the table that she needed. Not necessarily in your teaching and your breakdowns and your spiritual power and all your badassness. There's also weaknesses in you that she has to experience that's going to force her to trust the Most High even more. That's another, because isn't that the dynamic that we have with our wife? Are there certain things that she has in her that force us to be patient, merciful, long-suffering, better listeners, better communicators? Isn't there certain things about the marriage that we have that teaches us that we have to detach our emotions and anger and let all that go so you can be a better helper to her spirit? So if her weaknesses also expose your flaws, then don't you think it's reversed for the wife? Will your husband's weaknesses also expose your flaws? And that if she's here to serve the Most High, she has to experience her husband's flaws to reveal her weaknesses. Because there's certain people that walk the earth, and as long as you show them strength, they're good. Yeah. But a person's battle starts when I see weakness. There's some people that have real issues with having to be around weakness and having to deal through weakness. And there's other people that have issues when there's always strength hovering over them. Everybody's a little different. Everybody has a little mixed bag of different things inside of them. And the Most High knows exactly what buttons to push with different combinations he puts together in this spiritual realm. What's that?
Say that gorge.
Listen, but Most High knows how to prick everybody's issues. And he brings that husband that's just going to get under your last nerve.
Early in the morning.
Just to teach you humility. Yeah. Just to teach you how to be in order. Then the Most High will bring that man that's picky as hell. He wants his eggs, goddamn, a mixture of scrambled and a mixture of sunny side. It's got to be in the middle. And if it ain't in the middle, we're going to be angry. Listen, I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. You get my point. I think that's gross. A mixture of sunny side and scrambled. That's super damn gross.
Textures are wild.
But there's certain men. There's certain men that have peculiar appetites, and they'll have that man with that woman who don't understand why her husband has these peculiar appetites, and it drives her crazy. But that match was supposed to happen to teach her how to adapt to that spirit, and vice versa. And that's how you have to look at all of these connections and how the Most High brings both parties together. Let no man's carnal traits put asunder what the Most High is trying to put together. The problem is the two people can't come together because there's too much goddamn pride in the gumbo. There's too much pride in the mix to actually for the two to properly come together. There's ego, pride, and selfishness. So people can never get past themselves to see how dynamic and potent the unit can be. Yes.
Remember Mary?
Yeah. I remember the system.
She's got a man now that the potatoes. This guy actually measures the potatoes. They have to be square.
He's a potato measurer, brother.
It's got to be square, perfectly round. So you nailing it out.
And you know what's crazy? She thought she could run from one potato measurer. She had to go on another potato measurer, right?
Yeah, extreme. Huh?
Kinda. Listen, You'll be surprised everybody's fancies and expectations. Anyway, so let's get set. Romans 7:3.
God, Romans chapter 7, verse 3.
These are all true stories, people.
So then if, while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress.
Because the Most High is saying that wife doesn't have the right also to separate what the Most High brought together. And we read also in Matthew that the man don't have the right, really, to sit back here and separate what the Most High brought together either. So the Most High has got both of these parties that have to face the nasty and ugly side that the other partner brings out in them. And they're supposed to face it and work on themselves.
Say it again. I was feeling because you was going too little fast, and
I know you was going, but it's open. We got to record. It's all recorded. But I just want to make sure. What I'm saying is this: the husband brings out the good in the wife, and the husband brings out the worst in the wife. The wife brings out the good in the husband, and the wife brings out the worst in her husband. These are facts. Now, when that good is brought out, and it's all good. But when the bad is coming out, you have to be able to address this bad and find out what the Most High is trying to teach me by this bad being revealed to me. What is He teaching me when this woman sits back and says X, Y, Z, and I wanted to sit back and get pretty damn angry in this house. I kind of want to break something right now. Why does this person make me want to break something? Why does my husband, when he does X, Y, Z, make me want to leave and quit on him? What is it about me that makes me want to quit him when he does A, B, and C? What does that show me about what's in my spirit? That's how a husband and wife are supposed to look at themselves. Didn't the scripture in 2 Corinthians 13:5 say, examine yourself whether you be in the faith? What is it about what this person does that brings out the worst in me? But what we do is we see how a person makes me feel. I want to get out of here. I want to roll. I want to bounce because I don't like how you make me feel. You know what that means? I'm going to jump the gun on this verse. When it says, I don't like how you make me feel, let's go to Jeremiah 5, verse 22. Through 24. So somebody get ready to get into the 1828 also.
Jeremiah.
Because we'll hear that a lot of times. I don't like how you make me feel. You make me feel a certain way. Okay, I get it. Let's read that, huh?
I say not brand new.
This is not a brand new statement. This happens all the time in Jew land and in world land. Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 22.
I need it loud, sir. Loud. Powerful. Read that.
Fear ye not me, saith the Lord.
Now that's a question. Fear ye not me? Read on.
Will ye not tremble at my presence?
Are you not going to sit back and fear me when I come around? You're not going to fear my word? Read on.
Which have placed the sand for...
I need it loud, bro. And I told you to say it louder. Your voice was the exact same as before I said to make it louder. Make it louder.
Which have placed the sand...
I need another reader. Your voice didn't change the third time. Read that.
Jeremiah 5 and 22. Fear ye not me, saith the Lord. Will ye not tremble at my presence, which have placed in land and sand?
No. Listen, read it again. Which have placed the sand. Take your time.
Fear ye not me, saith the Lord. Will ye not tremble at my presence, which have placed?
Listen. Your book is too small. Find a bigger book. Read that verse.
Jeremiah chapter 5.
It's just too small, man. Read on.
Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 22. Fear ye not me, saith the Lord. Will ye not tremble at my presence, which have placed the sand for the bound of the sea by a perpetual decree?
He's like, listen, you don't see the fact that I'm keeping the water from crossing over to the land? I have that kind of power, and you're still not listening to my advice and my orders? Read on.
That it cannot pass it, and though the waves thereof toss themselves, yet they cannot prevail. Though they roar, yet can they not pass over it.
Read on.
But this people hath a revolting and rebellious heart.
This is the problem. Whenever that sister says, you make me feel this way, and because you make me feel this way, I'm going to go leave the city and hang out with my friends. Because you sit back here and tell me what I don't want to hear, and you make me feel a certain way, I'm going to leave the house. Or I just want to sit back here and yell, or cry in the damn closet. Whatever the scenario is, when you get to the core of it, let's read the definition of revolt in the 1828. He says Israel's nature is to revolt. Read that. Revolt.
Revolt. To fall off or turn from one another.
Give me the second definition.
God. To renounce allegiance.
To renounce allegiance. That is the nature of our people. When things get hard, when in my marriage, when I face problems, when I face difficulties, our nature is to renounce allegiance. I'm not with team whoever the hell it is. I'm with team this other nigga. I'm out of here. I'm independent. I'm looking for somebody else. I want a new nigga's team. Excuse my French. But he's like, that's the nature of our people. The nature of our people is to sit back here and quit the connection and bounds the most I had for husband and wife, and to go to somebody new, to an easier solution, or a perceived easier solution to get what my flesh wants. And this is what the Most High is trying to teach in our spirit. Not to sit back here, hold on, no, stay here. Another buddy can take you home. No. Or go, you got to go to the zone, right? Okay. Go for it. It's 9, that's fine. So read number 2, revolt again.
This is revolt. Definition number 2. To renounce allegiance and subjection to one's prince or state. To reject the authority of a sovereign.
To reject the authority of the sovereign. The nature of our people is always to reject the order that's in front of us. When things get hard, we want to quit and go to an easier path. But before we quit and go to the easier path, we always start to feel sorry for ourselves. Why me? Why do I got to go through this situation? Why do I deserve this difficult of a situation in my life? Why do I have to go through these circumstances that are so hard? Other people don't have to go through what I'm going through. Why do I have to go through this? That's where that revolting mind starts. But what we don't understand is the Most High is forging these two parties to get closer to each other. Whenever there's these issues that flare up, it's an opportunity for both parties to get closer, to work on their issues. One to submit, one to change, or, as we go into the class, it's about waiting. Sometimes, while your husband is going through his ups and downs, can you wait? Can you stand still? We talked about it a little bit on Saturday. Can you stand still and wait for him to fix himself? But the funny thing is this, even when you're waiting for him to fix himself, there is a proactiveness in your attitude that has to happen while you're waiting for him to fix himself. Because you can't just sit back here and just wait haphazardly without the right mindset while you're waiting for this person to change what's inside of them. Because as you're waiting for them to change, you can be working on how you look at them while they're changing. Because too many of us think that because we haven't physically left yet, we're on point. We haven't quit yet. We haven't walked out the door yet. That means we're on point. That is only part of the solution. The other part is, while I've waited, since I didn't leave, was my outlook pure towards my husband? Can I see the good in him? Can I still be appreciative for the good he brings to the table? Can I still sit back and be at peace with my decision in marrying this man? Can I sit back and not look at him in disgust? Can I sit back here and not lose respect for him while I'm waiting? These are all aspects that a sister has to work on while she's waiting. Did you maintain respect while you were waiting on him to work on himself? Can you still see the good that he brings to the table while you're waiting to fix himself up? If you're not, then you're not as on point as you think you are. And you're only a couple steps away from leaving him anyway. What you gonna say?
We think patience is how long we wait, and like I said, it's what we do.
It's how you wait. It's not necessarily how long you wait, it's how you wait. It's how was your attitude when you was waiting. What you gonna say?
I just wanted to pull a verse on that point really quick, because it's Ecclesiastes 1:23. It's one verse. Because it's still, like Amias just said, it's still regarding to your lack of patience, or rather your lack of intemperance. If you have a lack of intemperance or a lack of patience, you can't see the positive in which the Most High is putting you through the situation. I can't see the spiritual growth that I could attain after I overcome this situation.
Because the Most High is putting me in the situation, not my husband is just a bad guy and I'm just tired of him.
God.
My husband's sickness that's being revealed is the Most High putting me through something.
God.
This is what's happening. The Most High is teaching me something through my husband's deficiency. What you gonna say?
I want to pull that verse. Ecclesiastes 1:23.
Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 23 reads, a patient man or a patient woman will do what? Will tear for a time.
Read again.
Will tear for a time.
It says a patient man will do what?
Bear.
It's bear.
Bear for a time. Okay.
So a patient man will bear for a time. Definition 1828 says what? Bear, the fifth point, to support or sustain without sinking or yielding. Read that again.
A patient man will bear for a time.
So if I'm a wife and I claim to be patient or temperate, what am I
told him I love my husband.
I love the Lord.
I haven't left him. I haven't quit on him.
You know what? Because the outlook is in the second part of that verse. Because if you're sustaining and you are carrying the load for the season, for the time period. Read on.
And afterward, joy shall spring up unto him.
That joy comes in because you know what? You did what the Most High required of you.
Yep.
And when the Most High...
And you got the lesson.
Exactly.
But you only get the lesson to what the Most High is putting you through if you're able to bear for that time.
Okay.
You go back to that definition of bear.
Bear. It says to support or sustain without sinking or yielding.
Because supporting your man is based upon you not sinking in your respect for him when he's down. Yielding a supportive stance mentally and physically for your husband. If you really give a shit about him, you're not going to go through the motions and serve him, but not respect him at the same time.
Yeah.
You're going to have the ability to see the good in him and keep him up and not be disgusted at his guts because he's in a low position.
Exactly.
That's how you know you're not a patient woman and you're not as good as you say you are.
Which means you're both intemperate.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you were about being a supportive wife, you'd be able to work through the intemperance because that's your response that's your responsibility as a wife to be. You gotta, what's up?
A verse on this point.
What verse you got?
Ecclesiastes 16:13. The latter part, the B portion. Where it talks about the patient.
No. Well, yeah, why not? Read that.
Yeah.
Read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 16, verse 13. The sinner shall not.
Hold. 16 and 13. Read that.
The sinner shall not escape with his spoils, and the patient of the godly shall not be frustrated.
The what? The patient?
The patient of the godly should not be frustrated. So if I have godly patience, if I have patience like I say I do, I'm spiritual, then I'm not supposed to get frustrated when the situation, the circumstance
doesn't benefit you. And this is once again, like Shamshuan was pulling out that class, everything he said about a lot of brothers' issues are true and valid, but it doesn't give you the justification to disrespect, be frustrated, and to sit back here and not be able to bear for a time. What was that definition for bear again?
Bear.
That definition for bear was money. Is that a patient man will bear for a time, a patient woman
Ooh, I got another
will
one.
bear for a time.
I got another one.
What is it?
I'm gonna read yours and then another one. To support or sustain without seeking or yielding. But the other one,
Without to support and sustain without seeking. He said seeking, right?
sinking.
Sinking. There's a lot of times we only have a small amount of time that we can sit back and support our husband when he's down before I start to look down and disrespect him. So when you start to sit back here and disrespect your husband when you're down, that shows a lack of patience in you. So if that's the case and you're frustrated and you're looking down on your husband, maybe the Most High's got you with a man like he's got you because he's trying to teach you that you lack patience. You lack mercy. You're not as loving as you think you are. You're not as loving as you pride yourself to be. So maybe that's why you're with a person who's down at that time, to reveal how behind you are in the spirit of mercy, in the spirit of love and kindness, in the spirit of compassion and mercy. Maybe that's why the Most High's got you two together, to show you how deficient you are. But while you're walking around here disrespecting your husband, I can't stand him, I'm looking down on him, he ain't nothing. Maybe the Most High is showing you how poor of a patient person you are, how much you lack the ability to have mercy and patience on somebody who's down at the top. What was the other one?
The other definition, it says to suffer without resentment.
That's what meekness is. That is the definition of meekness. To endure injury without resentment. So if I really have patience and I really have mercy on somebody and I really love my husband, then as I see these flaws, am I going to sit back here and not let these flaws disgust me to a negative action? That shows you how disconnected you are from the Heavenly Father if you let other people's deficiencies change your personality and your works towards the Most High. Because whether you believe it or not, how you look at your husband is a reflection of how you look at the Most High.
Exactly.
Because isn't that what 1 Thessalonians 4 and 8 says? What is 1 Thessalonians 4 and 8? He that despiseth not man but the Most High. So if you're disgusted at your husband, you're really disgusted at the Most High because he chose this man that you had to serve. So really you got an issue with the Heavenly Father. And it's really not, Most High's got that man to reveal your sickness in you. Okay? I don't want any more verses right now. But so let's go back to Jeremiah 5 and 23.
Jeremiah chapter 5 and verse 23. But this people hath a revolting and a rebellious heart.
Israel has a revolting and a rebellious heart, because our people, when things get hard, instead of us having to teach ourselves that we have to be patient, and Most High's got my husband down, and I have to fill in the blanks as long as possible while not looking at him negatively, and that's how the Most High is going to judge my relationship with him. We want to sit back here, and how we're wired, we want to sit back and find out, trying to look for a reason why I can move on and quit to somebody else. I can jump ship and find an easier path to my happiness. That's how our people operate. We're opportunists. A revolting heart just means I'm an opportunist. And I want to look for any opportunity I can find to justify my decisions to make my life simpler. But the Most High's got you with the husband that you're supposed to be with to work on your spirit, to work on the negative in you. And if your husband's down, if he is perceived to be weak in your eyes, well, you know what? That might be the case. But if he's weak, if there's issues in him, you're supposed to deal with it and not hold grudges because you're in this circumstance with a quote-unquote man that you're having problems respecting. That's a you problem that the Most High got you there for. Because in your head, if a person doesn't meet your expectations, you're above being in order. Who the hell are you? Didn't the Most High say in Leviticus 25, What did the Most High say in Leviticus 25:55? Leviticus 25 and 55.
Leviticus 25 in verse 55.
Read it.
For unto me the children of Israel are servants.
Yep. The Most High created us to be a servant. Now, as a servant, can I sit back and say, well, I'll be a servant if my husband acts like these things? Then I'll serve. Do we have the right to sit back and determine what I think is justified for me to serve and what type of person I have to serve? As long as he's serving the Most High, that should be it. The Most High brought you two together, then why are we putting any other expectations on the thing but what we read in Ecclesiastes chapter 7? That he was trying to be godly. Why is there any other expectations? You chose him. And the Most High ordained the connection. So now you're pissed off because there's things that he's fallen short in. And now because he's fallen short in these things, now it's a challenge for you to stay in order. Who the hell are you? What makes you so important and special that you got to have this certain Prince Charming ass guy for you to be in order with? Yeah. So you're this princess too? That deserves all this respect and adulation? Who the hell are you to sit back and have these expectations of somebody else? Are you perfect? That man's dealing with you. Despite your flaws, you have a responsibility to do the same. You're not above being a servant. The Most High chose all of us to be a servant. We can go all throughout the scriptures. Listen, great men constantly through history had to be subordinate to lesser men. You sit back and see how David had to operate under a brute like Saul. Was David justified in not following a lesser man than Saul? Saul was a carnal dude that literally will wake up and have demons choking him. Remember that guy? Let's go there now. Saul was sitting back here, had demons. Not like them nigga rap niggas demons, the rap guys demons. I'm talking about literal demons. And the rappers say, I got demons on me. I got demons on me. You know, Tupac had demons on him. These fakers had demons on them. This guy had real demons. Now, those guys had drug demons. They was doing drugs and they saw demons. This guy had real demons that was choking him out, and he had to have David pull him off him. And then this guy had to constantly see Saul's flaws and weaknesses. 18. Last one's got it. What you got?
1 Samuel 16 and verse 14. Now the point of the harp was 23, but I know how far you want to go.
He said 16 and 14.
God.
First Samuel. I want to make sure that I don't want to know if I want to go super far.
Yeah.
We're all switched up in this class, man. 1 Samuel 16, you said verse 14.
23 is the hit, the harp to the evil spirit. 14 is when it started with spirit.
Did you have the Josephus one?
I had Josephus too.
The Josephus kind of goes deeper into the type of demon that was chasing him, right?
Yeah.
Let's go into that Josephus one. I'd rather go Josephus because it gives a lot about
it gives the details on it.
It gives the details on it.
Yeah. The Josephus says the Antiquities of the Jews, book 8, book 6, chapter 8, paragraph 2. And then y'all need Josephus?
6:8, paragraph 2. That's what you said, right? 6.
Buzz, y'all some in the back?
Yeah, I need one.
Let me get one as well. Well, I'll pass them out.
Here. Okay, 6:8, paragraph 2, right?
Anybody give him the same one?
It's page 164. I don't know about your book.
No, mine is not going to be 164. 6:8.
What paragraph, sir?
This is old school, man.
164, page 164.
Okay, 6:8, paragraph 2, right? Let's read that. 6:8, paragraph 2.
Whoever got it, read it.
Antiquity of the Jews, book 6, chapter 8, paragraph 2, page 164. So Samuel, when he had given him these admonitions, went away, but the divine power departed from Saul and removed to David.
So the spirit left Saul and went to David. Read on.
Who, upon his removal of the divine spirit to him, began to prophesy.
Now David began to prophesy. So that means he was in a way clearer mind, and he was prophesying the scriptures. He was writing Psalms. The Most High was with him. Read on.
But as for Saul, some strange and demonical disorders came upon him.
These guys are having demonical disorders that jumped on Saul. Read on.
And brought upon him such suffocations as were ready to choke him.
Listen, they had demons that was trying to choke this man out. Once the spirit of the Most High left Saul, because Saul was disobedient, he wasn't listening to the Most High, he was listening to the prophet Samuel. So the Most High took his spirit from him. But Saul was still the king. And David was the young man, the subordinate, that had to follow the king.
So Saul was having like paralysis at night?
This guy was getting choked out at. Something was on top of him choking him out.
No.
Huh? Come on, man. So he had demons on him, Mike. That's real demons, not those rap demons, Mike.
Yeah.
Those are real demons Saul had on him. Read on.
For which the physicians could find not other remedy but this.
They didn't know how to fix it. Read on.
That if any person could charm those passions by singing and playing upon the harp, they advised them to inquire for such one and to observe when these demons came upon him.
So not only did he have to sit back and sing and play the harp, he had to be around him all the time.
All night.
So whenever this guy started tripping out and tweaking, he could sing and start playing for him. This guy was on 24/7 guard duty.
Yeah.
Read on.
And to observe when these demons came upon him and disturbed him, and to take care that such a person might stand over him and play upon the harp and recite hymns to him.
So listen, so they had to find a person who can play the harp, sing, and keep an eye on this guy and just serve him. Read on.
Accordingly, Saul did not delay, but commanded them to seek out such a man.
Hell no, this dude was getting choked out. He's like, I can't last one more damn night. Find him and send my horses over there to him. Send my chariots and get him here tonight. What you gonna say?
Oh, just in the definition of that demonical, it also has there's also laughter. So they're laughing while they're doing it. They're laughing while they're talking about.
Come on, bro.
Listen,
bro. That's not cool. Like he's smiling, he's laughing.
So he's going through it, and these spirits are laughing while they're choking him out.
That's what happens when you're out of order. But check this. Why am I bringing this out? And we're gonna go read a little bit more. But we're bringing this out because David had to sit back here and serve this guy and watch this guy go through all his negativity. And he didn't have a negative outlet towards the guy over him. He didn't disrespect Saul not once. He didn't take matters into his hands not once. So just understand, sisters, we don't even have that right to sit back here and look at the person over us with that negativity, with that judgmental nature. We don't have the right to look at a person, see his flaw, and judge him and disrespect him because of his flaw. David sure in the hell didn't do it. He didn't sit back and say, Saul's a sucker. I gotta play this harp and sing the song with this bust ass dude. He's a sucker. He's weak. He's a weak ass dude. I could take him. I could do a better job than him. He didn't say that. He just did his job and said, whatever I gotta do to help my Lord, then that's all I'm gonna do. I'm going to fill the blanks for his deficiencies. That's how I can be of service to my master. Let me be what he needs me to be so that he can stay strong and do his job for the nation. Because that's what sisters are supposed to do for their husbands. How do I have to fill in the blanks of what my husband may or may not have so he can stay potent and do his job for the nation? But in order to have that mindset, you have to be selfless. It can't be about you. It's got to be about the bigger picture. My husband, what am I going to do to keep my husband strong and keep him confident and keep him feeling good about himself so that he can continue to be the strength for our household in whatever way I need to help him be the strength. You know what this example with Saul and David shows? The head ain't going to always be all strength all the time. A lot of times the wife has got to be strong for that husband in spots where he needs her to be strong at. So he can keep his strength, so he can keep doing good works. This is a reason why when it talks about in Ecclesiasticus, I will find the verse in a second. Trust me. Nope.
I got a question.
Nope. I got to find this verse.
Okay, come on.
It talks about
What is it?
triangle.
No.
Evil knees.
Oh, Ecclesiastes 25 and verse
There we
23.
are. There we are.
Ecclesiastes
Sometimes I gotta clean the palette, and I can find words. And when there's a lot of words coming in, I'm just
25 verse 23.
yes. Read that.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 25, verse 23. A wicked woman abated the courage.
A wicked woman abates the courage. A wicked woman takes away a man's courage. Because a woman needs to know, hey, she needs to learn how to serve her man, but she also needs to learn, what do I have to do to boost up my husband's confidence?
Okay.
I got to know what I need to do to help pick up his self-esteem. I need to know how to talk to him to bring up his spirits. A wicked woman abates the courage. A wicked woman just know. You know what a wicked woman knows how to do? To tell him how he ain't shit. A wicked woman can tell you in 1,000 ways how jacked up you is. Let me count the ways. A wicked woman can sit back here and tell you every which way how you ain't good enough. But a good woman can sit back here and show you and remind you how good you are and how worthy you are and how valuable you are to the household and how you're appreciated. That'll let you know what kind of woman you got. Does she ever sit back here and tell you how much she's proud of you? How much she appreciates what you do? Does she ever make you feel like $1 million? Or it's always a goddamn nag session and a problem and how you're always the bad guy. You're always Diablo, bro. Every conversation you are Diablo. You have horns. You're a bad guy. You have the pitchfork. Every day you're not good enough. That is how a wicked woman abates the courage. She always talks about how you ain't good enough. That's how you know you got a wicked woman. And ladies, that's how you know you're wicked. In that way. When your conversation is always about how you're not good enough, how come you don't do this, how come you don't do that, nag, that means you don't understand the big picture. If I don't keep my husband's spirits up, then the house is going to fall apart anyway.
Yeah.
Read on.
A wicked woman abated the courage, making a heavy countenance, and wounded the heart.
And that's the point. A wicked woman wounds the heart. She doesn't know how to pick her husband's spirits up because she's too consumed into her life. She doesn't understand part of her role is to keep her husband's confidence up. That's part of her job. But a lot of women don't understand that. They think it is about ear vomiting, complaining. And they don't balance it out with appreciation and communication that strengthens the body, strengthens the mind. Read on.
A woman that would not comfort her husband in distress, maketh weak hands and feeble deeds.
And that's the point. Maybe sometimes that woman needs to sit back here and tell her husband that he is good enough, and that you do value him. It's like this woman wants her husband to just have to manufacture strength all the time, and that's not every man is going to be built that way. Not every man is just going to be able to manufacture that confidence. And maybe the Most High has got you with that man to teach you that that's what he's expecting from you, to help build your husband up, to help give him some type of confidence when he leaves the house that day, and not to tear him down. We know nobody can give a person complete self-confidence, but can you sit back here, can that man look at you and be like, she makes me feel like a man. She respects me, and I know she does. And she tells me as much as she can that she appreciates you. And I know that don't happen a lot in Israel. But then a lot of times, but see, sisters want that given to them. But they don't want to give it back. This is part of what the Most High says in Matthew 19 about how don't let man tear it apart. Man, meaning women and men's pride and negative, keep these relationships from bonding. Because it's not about building and strengthening appreciation amongst each other. It's about tearing one another down. And you wonder why these relationships are fractured or on the border of falling apart or extremely unstable. Because a lot of times if a sister sees a weakness in her husband, then she uses that to justify why she doesn't have to serve him. Let's go to a verse real quick. We all around this damn topic. We're gonna be bouncing like a mug, bro. Let's do 1 Peter's 2, 18 through 23. We're kind of going off script, but everything's going to be okay, I guess. 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 18.
Come. 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 18.
Read that.
Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear.
Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear. Fear is respect. Now we know we're all supposed to be servants. So whether it's the dynamic between ranking man and younger man is supposed to be respect, husband and wife, the wife's supposed to have that respect towards her husband. Read on.
Not only to the good and gentle, but also to the froward.
Listen, people a lot of times have read about that being subject to the gentle person, and they look at it as the nice guy. The gentle person is the nice guy, the person that doesn't yell. And we know the froward guy is the disobedient guy, the intemperate person. So we understand the Most High says we're supposed to obey the disobedient person, right? The person who's inconsistent. You still got to stay on. You got to stay in order regardless, like David showed that he was. Even though Saul, as you read later on, we know Saul was throwing javelins at David. Saul was going crazy, throwing javelins. Promised him his daughter, took her back, tried to kill him, 1,000 things, and David stayed in order. Okay, but I want to sit back here and investigate and tap into that word gentle. So let's go 1828 and let's get gentle. Let's go gentle, 1828. Let's get it. And I want number 2.
Yep. Gentle. Tame.
So listen. So the Most High said a gentle person is a tame person. Hold that and go to tame, definition number 2. Tame. Definition number 2.
Tame. Crushed. Subdued.
So listen. The Most High said you're supposed to follow the froward, which was the disobedient, extreme person, and you're supposed to follow the crushed and subdued person. Read on. And that the 2, crushed, subdued,
depressed, spiritless.
So you're still supposed to follow the guy that comes off depressed and spiritless. Because isn't that the greatest turn off for a woman, to have to follow a guy that's broken and kind of beaten down? moping around and sad.
It goes back to that point we said earlier, how we're supposed to do good unto the lowly as well.
That's
the lowly spirit.
And that's the point. So when your husband is down, when he's lacking confidence, when he comes off like he's weak, I mean, they'll listen to counsel. Well, I'm having problems respecting him because he shows weakness. Now it's hard for me to respect him and stay in order with him. That's not what the Bible said. You're supposed to follow and obey the froward and the subdued and the tamed and the spiritless and depressed. You're supposed to be in order with both opposite polarities. The extreme guy and the weak guy. And the guy that lacks confidence. So what does that mean? That means there's going to be certain husbands that aren't going to be these alpha guys. You're still supposed to serve the non-alpha husband. And how about this one? You're going to have to sometimes do the work of the aggressor and still stay in order with the alpha and still submit to the alpha. And still submit to him like he is the alpha. That's part of servitude also. Whether you're dealing in a camp, sometimes when you're dealing with a man over you, you got to sit back here and do his job and still submit to him like he's the one over you. That's happened to me for years. You got to do the job of the person over you and still submit as if he's the one doing it. And that's what wives have to do also in certain occasions. Can you sit back here, do his job, but still be in order with him as if he's the one doing it? That's what obeying the gentle is. If you want to be humble, if you want to be in point with the Most High, if the Most High's got you with a man who can't be that strict all the time, then you got to be that strict and still be in order with him and give him that respect as if he is the one in order. Or the Most High is going to hold you accountable and not bless you for your works. So this is about being on point. Now let's talk about being on point. Because a lot of Israel wants to see how everybody else is off. My husband's off, and I don't know how I deal with my wicked husband. Well, the way you deal with your weak husband is you be in order. Is you do your job, you help him with his job, and still respect him as if he's the mastermind behind it all. Because that's what a good wife does. That's what wives back in the 50s and 60s did. You think I'm lying? They sat back here, submitted, did the jobs in arenas that their husbands weren't strong in, but still gave them the ultimate respect as if they did. If you want to be an on-point wife, then this is what it takes, depending on your marriage dynamic. That's what being in order, obeying the forward and the gentle. The one who's erratic and inconsistent, and extreme and intemperate, and the guy that's bashful and full of doubt and lacks confidence. That means you got to help build his confidence up by giving a positive affirmation while doing his job at times and still maintaining respect and waiting for him to grab himself and get himself strong enough to do the jobs that you're doing. That's what you're there for. Why are you waiting for men to help build him? But no, Jeremiah 5 says Israel's disposition is to sit back and quit, replace him, and find a new one. That's what it said in Jeremiah 5 and 22. That our disposition is to do what? It's to revolt. It's to renounce allegiance. I am no longer with him. I'm with this person. That's how we're wired to operate. But if we're going to be godly women and godly men, then what we're explaining is what you're going to have to do, because the Most High brought y'all two together. That's why we started off this whole class about the fact that the Most High brought you together, and there were certain dynamics in you that could handle this situation. There's certain aspects of your spirit that where you're capable of filling those blanks. Now the question is, can you maintain that respect while filling those blanks? Can you still do your job and look at him in the proper way while filling those blanks? And if you don't, that's where you're off with the Most High. That's where you're disconnected with the Most High. Okay. Has everybody got that?
Come.
Let's go to Ecclesiasticus. Matter of fact, let's go to Psalms 145. Huh?
We went through all of that?
No, did we? I'm sorry. Did we go to all of Peter's? I'm sorry. That part was where I just wanted to focus on. Whoa, let's keep going to 1 Peter's. 1 Peter's what?
It was 18 through 23, right?
Yeah, we just got to 18?
That was it.
Damn. I didn't want to go no more. That was it. Close the verse.
Spirit, man.
That was enough. Let's keep going.
You want 18 again?
No, we got that. I think we hit that point. Let's go to verse 19.
Come. 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 19.
I'm sorry, Abba. I thought I had it. I thought it was finished, Zach.
Hey,
We go on to the next verse. Read that, sir.
Come. 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 19. For this is thankworthy if a man conscious toward the Most High endures grief.
And this is why the sister would endure this grief. I'm not going to act like this is a natural process in life. It's not. It's not natural for a sister to take on these responsibilities, sometimes these masculine responsibilities. But it's not like this isn't a real thing. This is a real thing in certain marriages and dynamics. And what the Most High is showing you in this verse, like we've been expressing all day, it's all about your conscience through the situation. How are you looking at the situation the Most High's got you going through? Not this man got you going through. The Most High got you going through this situation. The Most High's got you with this man. The Most High's got you in this setup. He got you in the trick bag, not the guy. So he said, this is thankworthy if a man or a woman, for conscience towards the Most High, endures this grief. This is why you endure the grief. This is why that wife has to fill the blanks that husband might not be bringing to the table, because of her consciousness towards the Most High. And the fact that she understands that by filling those blanks, she's pleasing the Heavenly Father. She's in order with the Heavenly Father. And the Most High is going to acknowledge her sacrifice and her dedication is why she does it. It's why we do it. It's why we stay in order in situations that might not seem fair. It's because we're conscious of the Heavenly Father and we know the Most High is looking at the situation. Read on.
For this is thankworthy if a man conscious towards the Most High endure grief, suffering wrongfully.
Because the truth is, that's what you might think you are going through is wrong. It's not fair. Why do I got to go through this? I've seen other husbands they don't got to put their ribs through this. Why do I got to go through this? I've heard that 1,000 times in councils. I don't see this person doing this. This brother's husband don't do that. Don't put his woman through that. Well, I got to go through it. You know what? When you start sitting back here and comparing one house from another, that's the beginning of the end. You can't sit back and start looking. You might as well go to that nigga's house then. Go in his house. Go hang out with that nigga then.
Get his covenant.
Knock on this door, hang out. Then take all of it. Go leave. Shimon. Because, you know, all the other shit, now we're sitting back here dealing with envy and covetousness. And before you know it, that can trickle and evolve into worse things. It can turn into adultery. Because you sitting back here, I wish I had the red pill. I wish I had the other. I wish my life was different. I wish I chose a different husband. You see how all that mind just to go all these different places? And you see why we went the way we went to start off with? The Most High joined these two people together. Most High got you connected with Him. Him with you. So if you can sit back and accept that part, that means the Most High's got me in my battle for a reason. And there's an experience I have to learn in this dynamic if I'm going to solve this puzzle and this riddle that I'm experiencing in this life. There's a reason I got to go through this, and I just don't know why. Hold this. We will finish this, but I do want to go into Ecclesiasticus 16, verse 20 through 23.
Ecclesiastes chapter 16 and verse 20. Whenever you're ready.
Let's read that.
No heart can think upon these things worthily. And who is able to conceive his ways?
Nobody can really understand why the Most High got you going through what you're going through. Nobody can really, with 100% clarity, understand. So when you're sitting back here in your marriage between your husband and wife, or wife and husband, and she's like, why am I going through this? Why am I stressed out like this? Why am I going through these ups and downs? Why is my back against the wall? Why am I in a situation where my husband needs all these things from me, and I don't feel like I got it in me to do it? I don't want to do it. I'm resentful. Why am I in this particular marriage challenge and battle that I'm in? The answer is, for the most part, nobody knows all the reason why, especially in the beginning. Read on.
Verse 21. It is a tempest which no man can see.
He says, the Most High is explaining the dynamic in trying to figure out why I'm going through what I'm going through, like I'm in the middle of a tempest. If you're in one of these crazy ass Texas May storms, and it's hailing and it's raining, you can only see a couple feet in front of you. You're driving these crazy ass storms in Texas, it'd be like 10 minutes of hell out. You can't see nothing. You're better off pulling off on the side of the road than sitting back here and risking your life. You ever been in those kind of storms? Or them Louisiana storms out in Baton Rouge, out you can't see nothing on I-10, and you're around water, you're around all this damn water, you're scared as hell.
The alligators in the gut.
You got gators in the gut out, and you go up these crazy ass Lake Charles bridges out. I hate that bridge. That bridge is not nice.
I know what bridge you're talking about.
And you sitting back here 10 and 2, and you're like, God damn, this is horrible. Point is, what am I trying to say? The dynamic in this storm where you can't see in front of you, it's the same dynamic in your life when you don't know sometimes why the Most High put you with this person. And those thoughts compound when you see their weakness. And when you see the effect of their weakness in your life. And when you see how their deficiencies make your life so much hard. So much harder than maybe if he could do this, this, and this, or that, and that. And then the trying to get to the why is sometimes very hard to see and forecast. It's like a tempest in front of you. You can't see in front of you. Read on.
For the most part of his works are hid.
Because the Most High's works are hid. And the reality, the only way you're going to sit back and get to the understanding of his works is if you're humble. Is if you're meek. If it was if that, what was that other word? You had mercy. To where your countenance and your outlook didn't waver over time. That's how you get the answers through this tempest. So sisters and brothers, if you can't maintain respect and still see the virtue in your partner, you're never going to know why you're going through what you're going through with your significant other. The key to getting the answer is maintaining respect. Is to maintain meekness. Is to maintain mercy and long suffering. That's how you'll get the answer and the why that you're suffering the way you're suffering. If you can't maintain humility, it's going to be a constant tempest. And all you're going to do is just run from the tempest and try to escape and tap into your nature. And your nature is to revolt. So when you start asking why, that's really you trying to revolt and run from the situation and escape the battle.
Yes, sir.
Stop trying to run and escape the battle and learn to still see the good in your husband despite his faults. And if you can maintain respect, still see the good, and have the right mind to keep uplifting your partner, then that tempest will subside. Read on.
Verse 22. Who can declare the works of his justice? Or who can endure them? For his covenant is afar off, and the trial of all things is in the end.
The trial of all things, the answer of all things is at the end. You're not going to get the answer until you just take one step at a time. Positive, 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 positive. And before you know it, the Most High will give you the answer at the end. But you'll only get that answer if you can maintain your respect. Never forget the Most High's got you two together for a reason. Never forget the Most High's brought y'all together. Don't let your carnal nature, your desire to revolt, bring things asunder, tear things apart. Don't let your selfishness tear things apart. Understand that y'all two were meant to be together. So if that means the sister was supposed to sit back and absorb more issues for a period of time, then that's what you were there for. That's what you were chosen to go through. Stop trying to run from the difficult process that it takes for two, husband and wife, to come together and to mend these fences. Don't let scenarios where you don't understand the why get in the way of the end result. Yes, I.
So do we just enter these relationships with the wrong expectations?
Yeah. And we don't enter these relationships with the end in mind. We have to sit back here. Didn't the Most High talk about what man starts a war? If they're going to sit back here in the middle of them and say, "Nah, man, let's quit."
Yeah. Let's
sit back here and say, "Nah, I didn't mean that shit. I didn't mean. Don't worry about it, man. I ain't trying to fight." You sit back here and you send men halfway and you pull them back, and you call the king and say, "Man, I was just bluffing, man. I ain't nothing. I ain't tripping, man. Don't worry about it. Let me send some flowers to you, man. Say sorry, man." You can't do that, even when you come into the truth. There has to be an end in mind. But a lot of Israel, even when they come into the truth, has that mindset. We come in and we don't think about, am I going to finish this? We just go in. But this is why, listen, if we took marriage that way, if we took coming to the truth that way, I'm coming in with the mindset that I'm going to finish it. If we did that, maybe we'd have more patience and temperance. Versus sitting back here telling myself I always have options. I always have a plan B. A lot of Israel comes in here with a plan B in their head. I'm going to do this, but in case it doesn't work after a couple of years, I'm going to go do me. A lot of Israel operates like that. And brothers, don't be surprised if you have that plan B option. Your Rip got that plan B option. How about that? I don't feel good when they got that plan B option. Yeah. It's okay if you got plan B. If she got a plan, oh hell, what? What? Then you mad. Then you mad if she got plan B. It's a travesty for her to have plan Bs. But you got yours is wisdom. Your plan B is wisdom. You're just using wisdom. Her plan B, now that's sacrilege, Jack. Out the spirit. You better not leave me. Then my eyes get all big. Why do your eyes get big when they get jealous and angry? What? Huh? She better not leave. These are all real things.
All I see was that I turn a picture.
Like this. He had a little bowl cut out. And his little button up with that long collar out, that butterfly collar out. She knew it was going to be a problem when they got home. That guy's face spoke 1,000 words. He played that role too perfect. Anyway, I hope you guys are understanding what we're trying to explain. But let's continue. You got something?
Yeah, it's in Hebrews 6.
Hold on, let me finish this last verse in 23. Read on to your verse, sir.
Ecclesiastes 16:23. He that wanteth understanding will think upon vain things.
That person that's lacking the understanding in the middle of that tempest is going to think on vain reasons, vain options. And that on all that vanity turns to revolt. You ever see people when they're really stressed out and they want to be weak, they always leave town? Why is that always the damn answer? I'm going to leave, I'm going to go to this city, have fun. I'm just going to escape for a little bit. That's not the answer. The answer is to sit pat in the battle, serve, and work on your outlook. Israel has too much habits of quitting and running when things get hard. The answer is to sit back here and keep studying and meditating on the value of the person that you chose to be with. So when you're going through down times is when you got to sit back and have that much more respect and maintain that respect even more during the difficult times. But the person that wants understanding, they want a quick answer. They start drawing straws and making extreme moves to try to get an answer that you're not going to get unless you're obedient and in order. Are you done with that verse?
No.
Read on.
And a foolish man erring imagineth follies.
Listen, a person while they're waiting for the understanding, instead of working on themselves, they imagine follies. Their reasons and their justifications for the difficulties they're going through is all follies. Maybe we're not meant to be together. Maybe this ain't meant to be. Like, this is extreme. Where does this come from? That's just you wanting out, and you just not wanting to sit back and figure out the answer is in being disciplined and serving. The solution is always obedience and servitude. We're going to go into that in a little bit too. What you going to say?
I just wanted to answer that have those vain follies and vain imaginations. Give me Ecclesiasticus 11 and verse 23, and someone else give me Hebrews 6 verse 10 through 12.
You said Ecclesiasticus 11?
11 and 23.
23, okay.
Hebrews 6 and 12. 10
6 and 10 through 12. Because those vain imaginations, this question right here. Ecclesiasticus 11 and 23.
Come, Ecclesiasticus chapter 11
There
verse
you go.
23. Say not, what profit is there of my servant?
Because this is what women ask. This is what wives ask. Why am I giving my all to this man who's not changing as fast as I want him to change?
Yep.
He's not growing the way I expect him to grow.
What's the problem of me being in order? Because the Most High is going to give you the blessing. Didn't read that in chapter 12? He said, do good to the godly man, and thou shalt find a recompense. If not from him, yet from the Most High. That's the benefit of your service. The Most High will recompense, even if you don't think this man is watching, he's watching. Half the problem is sisters don't be in the book.
They're not reading.
They don't read the damn Bible because they don't believe it. They don't clear to the scriptures enough. To get through these battles, you got to be in the book, and you got to counsel people that are pushing you to the book. Not your homegirls that's telling you to go leave. And there's always another answer. There's plenty of fish in the sea. This is why, as men, we don't sit back and let our ribs talk to these outside influences. It makes these spiritual battles even harder than they're supposed to be. But keep going. That was a good verse. What else you got?
Can you read it?
Come. Say not, what is profit? What is there of my service?
No, read it again. You said that.
Come, say not, what profit is there of my service? And what good things shall I have hereafter?
Because it's the vain imagination that people come up with. They don't get what they want.
The vain imagination. What am I going to get out the deal?
That's the one.
I want to get something out the deal.
Yeah.
And if we're supposed to be servants, whether it's husbands or wives, haven't you gotten the memo yet? It's not about you.
Yeah.
Well, we do. Even you got into the teaching. Everybody's, oh yeah, you teaching on. You got the lights on. See, all you're doing is giving for free every day. Yeah. If you're doing it in the right spirit, it's not about ego. I mean, I ask, man, how does it feel to have X amount of viewers? Like, who gives a shit? I don't get off to that kind of stuff. Viewers? No, I don't. That doesn't do it for me. The only thing that does it is how many people am I able to impact and motivate and strengthen. That's it. And if you get to the nuts and bolts of that, you realize it takes years to get people to change. Every new generation that comes in, it is another 7 years that you got to commit yourself to. If you're going to be honest, when you start peeling all the flaws and fallibilities of people's lives, it's 5 to 7 years before you start really getting some headway in a person's spirit. You might get a couple like really gifted ones that shoot up after 2 or 3 years, but that doesn't happen a lot. Not in this line of work. This is all work. This is all dedication, and you got to love this. You got to love the service. If you're a wife, you have to love to serve your husband. You have to find gratification in putting him first. Half the problem starts when you want to be put on a pedestal. When you want something out the deal. Or you want to give for a certain period of time and then you want something on the back end. Men do it too. Men give for X amount of years and after a while, they want something out the deal. And that's when you're on your way down, and that's when women are on their way down. They want something out the deal, and that's not what any of us signed up for. What you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No. So, give me that Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 10. Because this is the vain imagination that the wife would imagine. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I sacrificing? Why am I giving at this level? What they don't realize is this is what the Most High is requiring of us anyway. Okay. Hebrews 6 and 10.
Hebrews chapter 6, verse 10. For the Most High is not unrighteous to forget your work and your labor of love.
So the Most High is not unrighteous to forget all the efforts you're putting towards your serving your man. All the sacrifices, all the emotions you're putting behind you so that you can get the best out of this man in front of you. So you can get the best of
So
he can get the best of you.
Because you're supposed to be the help meet.
Exactly.
That's what a wife was supposed to be chosen to do, is to be the right help for him. This woman needs to be a certain way for him to be the best man he can be. That's what you're supposed to be. You were chosen to connect to this man that teaches the Bible and serves the Most High to be everything he isn't, so he can operate and be the best for his nation. The problem is we lose track of that, and we lose track of this verse because we really don't believe the verse in the first place. Do you believe that the Most High is not going to forget your work and labor of love?
Your
I'm let you go. Keep going. I'm using the rest of
No. Do we believe the Most High is not going to forget our sacrifice? I'm not going to spoil the world. Keep reading. Keep reading.
It says, for the Most High is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love.
You know what that also means? The Most High is watching. When you're put in that circumstance which is unfavorable, when you're put in a circumstance when you're losing, you got all eyes on you at this moment. How can you show glory to the Father at this moment right now? Are you going to take it for yourself? Are you going to get your feelings? Are you going to get angry? Are you going to start resenting the battle the Most High is putting you through? He wants to see. Because if you don't, if you put him first and what he's trying to show you, he's not going to forget it. He's going to reward you at the end. Keep reading.
It says, which ye have showed towards his name.
Because all these actions are still towards his name. All these actions are still towards the Most High. I'm giving my mind to this man because you know what? The Most High needs me to give my mind to this man, so that he can be better for him. Because the more I give to him, the more I minister to him, help him. Give me that definition of 1828, minister. Keep reading, y'all.
It says, in that ye have ministered to the saints and do minister.
Because our job is to minister unto the saints, unto these men who are striving to work for Christ and live for Christ. That's what we've been talking about this whole time. The men that are striving and giving their lives to Christ, who have deficiencies, who are working to change themselves, your job is to give your spirit to them. Because that's how you show respect, and that's how you show service to the Most High. It says, which ye have showed towards his name. Your actions, your deeds of selflessness to his saints who are deficient is how you show and give respect to the Most High in Christ. Minister, give me
Point 2.
Yeah, let me see what that says.
God, to attend and serve, to perform service at any office.
So your job as a wife is to attend and serve any office, even if it's uncomfortable.
I gotta go. It says to give things needful, to supply the means to relief or to relieve.
So I have to be looking to fill the needs of this man that he has. This is what it means to be a help. Can I see what deficiencies he has, what he needs, what he's lacking in his spirit or in his day or in his life, so he can be better for the Most High in Christ?
And if that means my workload is overloaded, if that means I am overwhelmed, then who is going to see that I made that sacrifice for the Most High?
The Most High.
And then if you take that and go to 1 Corinthians, we're not going there, 1 Corinthians 10 and 13, where it says the Most High won't give you anything that you're not able to handle, then can I understand that even though I am stressed, it's only for a period of time, and the Most High knows I can handle it. This is how you psychologically and in your right consciousness overcome these stressors and these perceived scenarios where you might think that what you're going through is unfair. Now let him finish this point and then we go into this. Hold that concept again.
Got it. So keep reading on. Verse 11.
Got you. Hebrews chapter 6, verse 11. And we desire that every one of you do show the same diligence to the full assurance of hope unto the end.
And this is what we just went into the last verse. Because this is the standard in which the Most High wants for us. To show diligence in this hope. Can I have steady application in ministering to fulfill the needs, the deficiencies, the holes that this man has, so that he can be a better man in the end? Because that hope, that diligence, shows how much faith I actually have in the Most High.
God.
How much faith I have, he's going to redeem and respect and reward me accordingly to my works. That first question is that first question we went to in Ecclesiastes 11, what profit is in my service The profit is this. Keep reading on. 12.
Verse 12. That ye be not slothful, but followers of them who through faith and patience inherit the promises.
Actually, give me 15. That's what I really want. Because if I'm continuously applying this notion of serving, of fulfilling needs, of fulfilling holes, I am making myself more self-serving. This is what Christ was about. Fulfilling the needs of others. Fulfilling the deficiencies of others. So that they can be whole. Even if you were lacking. The goal and the servitude of this life isn't about fulfilling your needs and your wants and your aspirations in life. If you're really living in Christ, you're supposed to put yourself last. That's what Christ would do. So for Christ-like, I'm supposed to be last. And I should be looking for opportunities to put people in front of me. Verse 15, give me that real quick.
Got you. Hebrews chapter 6, verse 15. And so, after he had patiently endured.
After you patiently endure the bearing, the carrying of the weight, the suffering, the loss, what's your reward? What profit is your service? Keep reading.
He obtained the promise.
You obtained the promise of salvation.
Yeah.
You obtained the promise of the Most High having mercy on your deficiencies.
So your salvation is based upon how well you wait. Your salvation is based on how well you wait for your husband to work on what's inside of him. How was your outlook while you were waiting? How was your attitude while you were waiting? How was your conduct while you were waiting for your husband to figure it out? While you was waiting for your husband to empower himself and be the man he was meant to be or had the potential in being. How well did you wait? That's what the Most High literally is looking at when he's determining us. Hold this.
No, we're good on this. We're good.
Matter of fact, you was in Hebrews 5, right?
No, Hebrews. You're in 6.
You was in Hebrews 6. Give me Hebrews 5 and 8.
Hebrews chapter 5, verse 8.
Hebrews 5 and 8. Read that.
No, yeah, let me read it.
Hebrews chapter 5, verse 8. Though he were a son, yet he learned obedience by the things which he suffered.
You only learn how to obey based off of what you're suffering. You don't learn obedience when things are convenient. You don't learn obedience when things are easy. So when the Most High has got you in these dynamics with your husband that make things difficult in your life, the Most High can determine where your obedience is by how long you can patiently suffer. How long you can endure your husband's issues. His instability, his up and down, his physical limitations, his emotional limitations, his fragility of confidence. How long can you endure that will determine where your obedience to the Most High lies. Somebody give me Romans chapter 6 and verse 16. Well, people sit back here and they look at their husbands and they find this disgust and they have this disgust towards them. What they don't realize is you're going to be judged in your salvation based on how you managed to deal with your husband, how you looked at your husband, how you maintain your respect towards your husband. Your outlook towards your husband will determine your salvation. Didn't the Most High say that a wife's going to be saved through childbearing? That's through the process of motherhood, the process of being a wife, the process of how you kept your family together. How you served your husband, how you raised your children will determine your entry into the kingdom. Read Romans 6 and 16.
Romans chapter 6 and 16. Know ye not that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom ye obey, whether of sin unto death or of obedience unto righteousness?
Are you going to dedicate your life to the spirit of obedience to righteousness? Or are you going to yield yourself servant to obey you and what pleases you and what makes your life comfortable? We just read about your obedience can only be measured by how much you suffer. Now we're reading about your obedience is based upon who you choose to obey and be in order with. So because we're supposed to sit back here based off of Ecclesiasticus 12, Matthew 19, we're supposed to sit back here and dedicate our life to the service of righteousness. And that means we're going to be judged based on how well we obey and stay in order with our husbands in this righteous life. And based on how well we can maintain our patience, our respect, and outlook will determine if we make the kingdom. If these sisters make the kingdom. It's not just, well, I'm with him, but I can't stand his guts. Do you really think the Most High is going to sit back here and honor that interaction? No. And every 5 minutes you're disgusted at him and you can't see the good at him? You can't see the good in him at all? It's just, I'm just here tolerating and waiting until Christ comes or until he dies and I can get out the deal?
That's crazy.
You think that's not a real thing? It's a real thing. I'm not going to be angry with the Most High, so I'll just wait till he passes on. You think the Most High is going to sit back here and honor that negative mindset? You think he's going to be with you when that's your stance? Whenever that person does pass, he's going to sit back here and smash you. If that's your motivation. The Most High is looking at how well we obey. How well we stay in order with our husband. How well can we see the good in our husband? Can we bring him up? If I'm disgusted at him, then the Most High is going to be disgusted at you. You're going to be judged based off your obedience. Okay, let's do Revelations 14 in verse 4.
God.
And Tawada says we appreciate it too. Revelations 14 and 4.
God. Revelation chapter 14 verse 4. These are they which were not defiled with women.
So Most High is talking about the people at the end. Now this is talking about the 144,000. We get that. But the process and what determines a good and righteous individual should be something that's noted and considered. Read that.
God. Revelation chapter 14 verse 4. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. They are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth.
Whithersoever he goeth. So he's saying the people that are in order with Christ are the ones that are going to follow Christ wherever Christ takes them out. That means if your husband is up, then it's good. When your husband is down, are you going to follow the Lamb still? Are you going to follow obedience? Are you going to stay on point when things are up, only when things are up, when things benefit you? Or are you going to be on point when things don't benefit you? When you got to pick up the slack or the house balance is unequitable. Are you going to stay in order? Are you going to maintain your respect when you feel like you got to do more than him? When you're carrying the weight? So all of a sudden now your respect is off because he carried it for a particular amount of time. Now you got to do it. And now you disgust at him because you got to carry the weight. That means you're not prepared to follow the Lamb whithersoever he goes. Because if it's that means you're a conditional servant. You're only going to serve when things are on an upswing, when things are beneficial to you. Do you think that's the kind of servant the Most High wants in his kingdom? He doesn't want that in us. I tell you that for damn sure. If we're only going to serve him when we're getting something out the deal or when it benefits us, listen, that's what the Most High talks about when you read Jeremiah 17 and 10. So we're going to hold Revelations, but get 17 and 10 of Jeremiah. Too many times we want to sit back here and when it's your time to have to be strength, now you hate your husband. Yeah. Now you can't stand his guts because it's your time to suck it up and be about the Bible, what you say you're about. There's going to be times, sisters, that you got to actually live this book. And your husband ain't going to just carry you through his strength. There's going to be times where he's going to be weak, and can you live it? Are you going to be about it? Or are you going to bounce when you're going to be accountable to live this book? Read Jeremiah 17 and 10.
Come. Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 10. I, the Most High, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways.
Most High is going to try the reins. So listen, he's going to sit back here and see if you're going to follow the Lamb whithersoever he goes. What do you think the whole thing with Job was about? Why do you think Satan was like, listen, man, everything's going this way, he's going to serve you. When you touch his flesh, he's going to curse you. The Most High needs to know, are you a fair weather friend? As wives, are you fair weather wives? Or you're only going to sit back here and be about serving your husband when there is just this perfect utopian situation in your house? Or this perceived outlook of stability? That's when you'll lock in? But when there's going to be turbulent days and up and down scenarios in your life, now all of a sudden you can't serve? Now all of a sudden you can't be in order because things aren't lined up perfect for you? This is the Most High trying your reins, trying where your heart is at. So you only want to be in order when it's easy and comfortable for your lifestyle. This is why certain people's difficulties at home are prolonged.
Yeah.
They're prolonged because you haven't gotten a lesson to it. You haven't accepted your condition. Maybe when you accept your condition and remind yourselves through the scriptures that you're a servant, and you learn to start accepting your condition and accepting your husband for who he is, then maybe the Most High will provide a solution and an answer out of it. But why is he going to open a solution for you to escape it when you haven't accepted the lesson yet? He's still trying your reins. Oh, so you're going to bounce? So there is a limitation on how much you can sacrifice before you say, I'm out of here? Then the Most High is going to let it go until you say you're out of here. And then replace you with somebody who's got more patience. That's how the Most High is. So all your 10, 15 years, 20 years dedication is going to be thrown out the door because you stopped studying and you forgot how to be a servant, which was who you were supposed to be. And you want to tap back into your independent, revolting, rebellious nature and thinking the Most High is going to accept that just because at this time your husband is down? Shame on you. So take these classes like the one that Shamchuan taught, which was brilliant. Understand that was for the husband to be better. And keep your mind and keep your spirit in check. So you don't let situations like a Wednesday distract you from your responsibility and your job as a wife. Because you're still supposed to serve your husband, but in serving him, you're supposed to build his confidence up. You're supposed to tell him you love him. You're supposed to show respect for him and have an appreciation for him. I know a bunch of sisters who don't appreciate their husbands. And they go through the motions of servitude. Because in their mind, if I don't go through the motions, the Most High is going to curse me. The Most High is going to curse me because you had an evil heart to him in the first place. You don't give a shit about your little BS outward adorning. I'm just going to respect him and cook him some goddamn eggs to get him off my back. Some BS turkey bacon. That ain't enough. If he can't see that you genuinely appreciate him and are genuinely hoping and anticipating him coming back up and rising and strengthening himself up from where he once was, then you don't want nothing to do with you anyway. Because the Most High tries our heart too. Are we serious about serving him? Are we serious about committing to him? Or is it just lip service? He sits back here and tries our hearts and intentions all the time. Read Jeremiah 17 and 10 again.
Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 10. I, the Most High, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways.
The Most High is going to give every man according to his ways. So maybe you're in these difficult conditions in your house because that's what you need to get humble. That's what you need to keep you humble. We just read in Hebrews 5 and 8 that the Most High teaches us obedience through our suffering. So you only learn obedience through the things you go through. So if that's the case, he's going to sit back here and give us every man according to his ways. So maybe you need to be in these situations to have to suffer to teach you how to obey. Maybe the Most High sees a shit ton of pride in you. So he has to create these other arenas to keep you humble. Maybe he's bringing your husband down to a low place to see where you're at too. It's not just him having to take the hit. It's you having to take the hit to see where your heart is at. And when you show a disgust for your husband, it's also you showing a disgust for the Most High for putting you in a situation with a man like he put you in. So you're really blaming the Most High for your circumstances anyway. And that's all the Most High needs to know, where your heart is at, based off how you handle your difficulties at home. Read on.
Come. And according to the fruit of his doings.
According to the fruit of your doings is why you're in the situation you're in. Stop blaming other people for your circumstances. The Most High's got you with the husband you're with. And there's a lesson that you got to learn from what you're suffering in your household. And until you learn, you're never going to get the understanding through this tempest unless you learn obedience, respect, mercy, and you never lose the ability to see the good in your husband, and never lose the ability to nurture your husband. While filling in those blanks he can't fill in at the time.
Which is bearing with patience.
Which is bearing with patience. That's what you were showing with that mercy verse, right?
Oh yeah, the first Ecclesiastes 1.
Give me that mercy definition. It was mercy was the word, right?
No, it was bear.
Bear, that's what it was. It was bear. Read Ecclesiastes 1 and 23 again.
I'll get that verse. I'll get that.
I'll give you.
Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 23. A patient man will bear for a time, and afterward joy shall spring up unto him.
A patient man or woman will bear for a time. The time is undisclosed.
Yeah.
6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years. It doesn't matter. The reality, it doesn't matter if you give a crap about the person. If you love him, it doesn't matter what time frame the Most High got you waiting. Can you understand the Most High is trying your heart for as long as he's going to try it? And he wants to see where your true intentions are. What is bear again?
Point 5 and point 8.
Come. To support or sustain without sinking or yielding.
Can you support your husband when he's down for as long as it takes without sinking, without your countenance seeking, without your outlook turning sour, without you being disgusted at him, without you being unhappy about the life you chose? Because these are the thoughts that go through a person's head when they're unhappy, when they're sad, when they want out. Without sinking, what else?
Then point 8.
Without sinking or yielding to endure, as a man can bear severe pain and calamity. Verse
number 8.
Number 8. To suffer without resentment.
To suffer without resentment. Can you sit back here, if you are the husband that you, or if you're the wife, the virtuous wife that you claim to be, can you suffer? Can you put yourself last? Can you take on more responsibilities without the resentment behind it? Without the negative hatred behind it? Can you be at peace with what the Most High is expecting you and expecting out of your output? Can you be at peace with that? If you are what you say you are, if you say or believe you are the caliber wife that you say you are, how long can you sustain and endure the ups and downs that the Most High is trying you with in your life without budging, without having a negative resentment? The Most High is all about not just the work, not just the good works. It's how you think during those good works. Where is your mind at when you're putting yourself last? When you're filling in the blanks for your husband? when you get a chance, we're not going to have time tonight. When you go back into Nabal and Abigail, we knew Nabal was a dirtbag. But what made that sister so special was that she filled in the blanks. All the things he was deficient at, she made sure she tried her best to fill in the blanks to his weaknesses. Can you sit back here and fill in the blanks to your husband's weaknesses without that resentment behind it? Without that hatred behind it? Without despising him behind it? Because if you're despising him, that's why the Most High got you in that position. Because you think you're going to get to the kingdom while you're despising the Most High? Because that's what you don't realize. You're despising the Most High along with your husband. We're going to leave it at that. All right? It's getting late. I think there's a lot more in this class, but we'll be here forever doing this. Israel Tawada for tuning in. See you guys on Wednesday. Shalom Shalom. Gotcha.
Shalom. Shalom.